So I heard that a lot of people hate this version of Swag 20 because of the colorwise. Now, to make it easier said and done, this is because he's the actually meant to be Ink 20, but then I decided to change it differently. But I will reveal Ink 20, aka the Ink version of Swag 20, basically Ink Sans, because likely to make it easier said and done, that version of Sans basically don't basically go with a category with other Sans. Basically, he used Ink Pals, I guess. But then, like, a lot of people keep on saying that he's a homophobic, where actually he's a psychopathic. There's something wrong with this version of the gay character than any other gay characters. You see, this version is an immediate psychopath. If you insult him, he will immediately kill you. If you try to basically take away whoever he loves, he will immediately just kill you. Basically, like, I'll have to basically reveal what I mean by immediately kill you. Because he has chainsaws at the ready when you're not even looking at him. He's basically an SCP type, and he should have been in an SCP security breach. But however, he's not in that type of area. He's supposed to be in secure, contain, protect. I guess he's supposed to be in that area. But however, he got broken out, and it seems like since he has chainsaws that can just rip through anything, that's including metal, without even breaking them, it seems likely he's not the type of character. And also, this is the Gundam frame version. I will show the old version, what if Swag 20 old was basically Swag 20 gay. The type of different. Also, you may notice there's a giant piece of a horn on the head. That's because he has the Unicorn Gundam frame, or should I say the Gundam Unicorn Psycho frame. For the simple reason, because if you didn't watch, if you didn't watch Gundam Unicorn, you would understand this you wouldn't understand this immediately. But if you did watch Gundam Unicorn, good luck for you, because obviously this one is basically one of those type of characters who has a Gundam Unicorn in a frame. Now, why I say that is because his alternative form is actually the Gundam Unicorn. And another question that makes no sense is that what's with the chest exposure for each and every version of Swag 20. Yes, I will bring this up. For each and every version of Swag 20, the chest part where basically the stomach area is, has been exposed. And that's where the pistons are supposed to be. If you haven't looked at the Iron Blood Orphan Mobile Suit Gundam designs, there are pistons where basically the stomach would be, where basically like the internal organs, since the Gundam frames on those versions are more humanoid. It makes sense since they are basically most likely humanoid out of all Gundam frames. But those ones are more likely to have parts that basically exposed, like where the arm parts are, where the pipes are, the back of the legs, the waist, where basically the stomach area, the neck, the arm joints, the shoulder joints, and basically etc. What I'm trying to say is that this version is too dangerous to the point where basically Swag 20 Gotcha Club, yes, that version had no choice but to take him as his own. So that way it stopped him going after old Swag 20 messing around with him. There are different versions of Swag 20s, including the Era 20, which also is more of a psychopathic because he always like flirting the other Era type. So basically, like for example, Era Jesse, who's basically like Era Sans. If anyone tries to basically run away from Era 20, he would just follow the person until basically he takes them as his own. Though it's kind of weird that he basically does it in so many ways. Everyone keeps on confused this and that, and including Reagan Knight just said, "What the fuck is this piece of shit?" when she watched this video. However, this version of Swag 20 is a specific version of why he's titled as a gay type. Not because of colors, is the way he likes males, not females. And I'm not lying on that one. He actually likes males than females. Now, I know that basically gays always does the same thing, but he literally loves them to the point where basically he will take them as his own. But basically, since the other Swag 20, aka the first Swag 20, aka the Gotcha Club Swag 20, took us as his own, he doesn't go after other males except for just having love to Gotcha Club version of Swag 20. Now, you may say why I'm putting versions, it's because, well, they are basically the versions of the same character, but in different variations. Have you ever basically got that Gundam model kit, like the Core Gundam, and it comes with extra armor? Basically, like, every version of the Core Gundam comes in different colors, and having extra armor but in different colors. Well, that's what Swag 20 is. Basically, he's just that but with different versions of stands, or basically different version of the variation of characters. There is a Mikazuki version of Swag 20 as well. It makes sense since basically he has a very good eye shooting like Mikazuki does in the actual anime, including manga. But the one thing that doesn't make any sense is what's with this version out of all of them. Why is he a psychopathic while all the other versions are not? He's classed as a literal psychopathic because he wouldn't leave the males alone. He kept them basically following males like a madman, even in danger areas. And even when they did put him down, he ends up coming back because he's basically that Swag 20 that doesn't die, even though they wish they did. This version doesn't want to die, so that's the problem. Well, not a problem, that's a good thing. He doesn't want to die, so he has a fear of death. All the other versions, they don't, because they know for a fact we can just respawn. But this version doesn't know he can respawn neither, so basically he has basically no idea what respawn is. But he basically won't basically leave any other Swag 20. He will basically go after any other Swag 20 if they try to take the main Swag 20 that he loves, if I can put it that way. Now, Reagan, I think everyone was confused about some situations, and I think one of them was this video. A question that somebody asked, how did I was able, or should I say, Swag 20 was able to toss a sword directly straight without having misdirection? If you haven't basically watched I Am Blood Orphans, or basically watch how Swag 20 does his gimmick, he basically has the ability to use Psycho Waves to actually just direct the sword. Or he can just use the wind as a direction, so that way he doesn't have to basically do a 360 degrees spin throw. To make it easier said and done, you basically toss the whatever weapon you want, and it does basically this weird slow 360 degrees slow spin, and then basically it either hits the opponent or just hits the ground. That's how basically that type of system works, since I actually tried it a bunch of times with different weapons with different weights, and they all basically the same thing. They slow down, but they basically just, they're not basically fast enough to basically do 360 degree spin kind of thing. But everyone was asking the question, is this guy homophobic or something? But actually he's a psychopathic. Now you may say that, how is he a psychopathic? He looks like a homophobic. Yes, I can agree on that, but he's actually a psychopathic. I will release a video what I mean by a psychopathic, because he does actually just go into absolute kill and just tear up the person with chainsaws. He has chainsaws at the ready, as I just said earlier, or should I say at the beginning of this video, because he's not that type of character who just basically go with unprepared moment. This is the Gundam frame version, so basically it makes sense why. But if it was an basically Swag 20 old, then it would be a different story altogether. But this version is a psychopathic version. He should have been in SCP security area. That way it saves this guy from basically being followed. But this is the only version of Swag 20 that's a little bit of an annoying peasant, even for myself, but if I get rid of this version, Swag 20 Gotcha Club will actually get confused as hell, since he doesn't get it. Since he basically, I forgot to mention, he is basically a fusion of old Swag 20 and Swag 20 2020/2019. Because they all look almost identical the same when it comes to color-wise, but actually they're basically one person at one. And even if they did separate, they would just have the same design. Pretty much, basically. So that's why, and this and that. But what I mean by pretty much, I didn't really mean by pretty much. They might have the same design, but the color-wise would be different. For starters, basically, all Swag 20 would have a great outfit for future times now, since everyone can't tell which is which, including basically which is which. Everyone keeps getting confused which Swag 20 is which, and which one's emotionless, which is not. Swag 20 2019/2020, or the other way around, is actually emotionless, while the old Swag 20 isn't. Gotcha Club Swag 20 isn't basically emotionless. Well, he is basically emotionless and not emotionless, so he's basically both. But it's kind of weird since they're basically two characters as one, but they can't basically tell because it's one person. It makes sense. Era 20 has no emotions, but he does have the thing for flirting, so that's counted as basically an emotion. Ink 20 has emotions, and etc. and etc. But I'm gonna make it easier said and done. Each and every Swag 20, one might be having emotion while the other one does not. So you really can't just judge the difference between which is which. It's who you basically pick, is which is good and which is terrible. For me, this one's more of a medium size, or should I say is in the middle, since I can't really tell which is which. Since he does basically go chaotic at the same time, he most likely won't, and you can't tell what he does afterwards once he basically go anger. But I will reveal what I mean by the anger situation that he has. But I hope everyone understands, and I hope you have a good day. I know everything doesn't make any sense in this one video, but obviously I want to basically be honest. This version of Swag 20 is more of a confused and not able to understand version of Swag 20, since he's a psychopathic version, but most of the time he isn't. It only when he goes into a heightened state, aka when he's in a rampage or kill stream stage, to the point where basically he won't basically do something that's good, he will just go into immediate kill. This version is kind, but if you basically just insult him over something that small, it's too much. And I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about this version of the character. So don't even say that I was talking about myself. I was talking about this version of the character. He is basically the bisexual character of my personality, but actually he's more of the gay character. The reason why I put him as a gay, because he's obviously the color-wise. And everyone was confused about about the colors, and the colors actually is a reference to Pride Month to make it easier said than done. Now everyone's going to be wondering what I mean by Pride Month, but Pride Month just came, like last month. Last month was Pride Month, aka the month where I was born. Pretty much. That's why he has colors of basically a rainbow looking color, even though they're not color accuracy, but they actually are a rainbow kind of color. Though basically the chest could basically be cleaned up a little bit more. He's actually just the Pride Month version of the character, or should I just say he's basically just, well, he likes to be, well, in a rainbow color because it gives a reference to Pride Month. I know Pride Month just went like basically a month ago, which was like last month, but he still thinks that every day is a Pride Day. So because of it, he will just stay in that type of color until he decides to change into a different color. I can't really decide on that. It's a random occurrence that will happen. And obviously, to make it easier said and done, everyone was wondering, he's a persona. How is he basically got this and that? He's actually, every persona that I make has a mind of its own, and I always end up talking to the persona itself. Now, ordinary personas, like basically Reagan's persona, she can't talk. However, I can talk to my personas when it comes to some situations, not basically this and that. Not only that, everyone else can see each and every version of the personality of the persona itself. Unlike other versions of the persona that basically the other people, or should I say the other people that are in the video, won't be able to see them. But only the person itself who has the personality can. However, I just said however like twice in a row, I don't know why. However, some personas are kind of good and some personas are kind of wank, or should I say whack. Like, I'm gonna be honest, Michael's persona is completely fucked. Why am I calling the persona? It's an OC. But I'm just saying, it's completely just, ugh, because it's not cool. It's just basically a fucking guy who just wants to fuck people, and it's not pretty. Thank God this version of Swag 20 is not that type of chaotic and only just basically go after basically Swag 20 Gacha Club, not the Swag 20 2020 or slash 2019. Makes sense since basically he's not basically that type of character, since he's practically most likely the emotionless bastard who doesn't want to listen. Pretty much he's that type of character. Also, like 20, he's more like the character who would want to listen and basically not basically want to die. So, yeah. Pretty much. But they don't have the fear of death. They just know for a fact they just don't want to die. I know that makes sense since basically that doesn't make any sense at all to you. But to me, it kind of makes sense since basically they don't want to die, but only let themselves die when it comes to some necessary needs, like maybe a sacrifice or something, pretty much. But everyone, hope you have a good day. I'll see you all later and have a good day again. I don't know why I said that.